Welcome to the wild city of Anchorage. Like all urban jungles, this is a city plagued by thieves and petty crime. But here in Anchorage, the culprits aren't human, they're wild animals. This unique Arctic metropolis is home to hundreds of bears and over 2,000 moose. But most surprising are the city's 5 wild wolf packs. More than 30 wolves call Anchorage home. These stealthy predators usually avoid humans, but something is enabling them to survive in the city. These formidable pack predators are finding prey in unlikely sources. And as man and beast increasingly come face to face, can the people of Anchorage find a way to protect the city's most iconic wild predator and their favorite prey? This is Arctic City. Alaska. Home to 17 of North America's 20 highest peaks. And more than half the world's glaciers. On the sea ice in Alaska's frozen north, where temperatures rarely rise above freezing, the ultimate Arctic predator is the polar bear. But in Alaska's seemingly endless tundra and its vast frozen forests, the apex predator is the infamous grey wolf. The wolf is the epitome of Alaskan wildlife. Incredibly tough and utterly deadly. Wolves live and hunt in packs of around 6 to 10 animals. And the key to their success is coordination. But with so many mouths to feed, wolf packs will also scavenge. A deer carcass, almost frozen in the cold, will sustain this pack for only a day or two. A single animal can consume 20 pounds of meat in a single sitting. Wolf packs have a strict hierarchy, with both an alpha male and alpha female. They eat first. The others must patiently await their turn or face discipline. They reassert their dominance using a complex language communicated via facial expressions and body language. But while only the alpha male and female are allowed to breed, all adults in a pack help care for the pups. These intelligent, social canines may have earned a reputation as the most dangerous predators in the Alaskan wilderness. But as people are encroaching further and further into their territory, wolves are also being forced to adapt to the urban jungle. For years, 5 highly elusive wolf packs have lived and hunted in the wild city of Anchorage. But as the city spreads further and further into wolf country, the wolves are getting bolder, and attacks on humans are on the increase. A group was recently targeted whilst jogging with their dog on a trail near one of the city's main roads. The 2 women let their dog off its lead and into the nearby trees. It had no idea that a pack of 7 hungry wolves were lurking in the shadows. The wolves surrounded and then began closing in on the dog and the 2 women. Unaware they were being followed, they just kept on running. But to the wolves, the women and the dog were behaving exactly like prey. When the wolves emerged, the startled joggers reacted exactly as they should, shouting to scare off the usually timid wolves. But by now, the hunt was on. Luckily, they had come prepared and were carrying pepper spray. The spray forced the wolves back, but they stalked the women all the way back to their car, where their dog was brutally attacked before they dragged it to safety. Thankfully, the injured dog managed to survive, and the pack moved off into the suburbs. The wolves, however, were still hungry and later killed a pet dog in its yard, less than a mile away. But despite the dangers posed by these urban wolf packs, many residents are fighting to protect the wolves that have roamed this area long before the city was built. Alaska Zoo provides a permanent home to 5 wild-born wolf pups that would otherwise have been culled by hunters. Watching these wolf pups grow up in captivity, the keepers have seen them develop the same complex social relationships of a wild wolf pack. And by understanding and respecting these hierarchies, they've actually been able to form a bond with these usually feared animals, famed for their haunting howl.
In the wild, usually when you're seeing a pack of wolves, what you're looking at is a family unit. And so a lot of contemporary researchers actually prefer to use the term family unit to describe packs of wolves in the wild.
The family unit here at the zoo have allowed the keepers to join their wolf pack. And right now, they're howling for their alpha human. Keeper Tim Lesher is even able to enter the enclosure with these wild-born predators.
Safety is first and foremost. You can't treat the wolf as you do a domestic dog, and the more you interact with them, the more you see that. So you need to kind of be on your toes and constantly reminding yourself of that, because you form bonds with them, and so you have a very much a trustful relationship that's built up.
And today, he's going to attempt to take one of the wolves for a walk. For anyone else, just entering the enclosure of these territorial predators could be deadly. But attempting to put a chain around its neck would be virtual suicide.
The wolves see themselves very much as your equal. You can't, for instance, discipline a wolf. It wouldn't go over well if we did anyway.
With head keeper Smitty keeping a watchful eye, slowly but surely, Tim places the chain around the wolf's body. unbelievably, the wolf lets him do it first time.
From a young age, it's kind of perpetuated in our culture that the wolf is a villain. You think of Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf, or the Three Little Pigs. You know, it's just, it's kind of ingrained in us, and it's a fallacy.
For safety, Tim's going to attempt to walk the nervous wolf in a secure location, away from the public. As these animals are so territorial, letting a human lead it out of its enclosure is a clear sign of the trust it has in Tim. But this isn't just a walk in the park. Tomorrow is the wolf's 10th birthday, so the vets need to take a blood sample from each of the wolves to search for any serious genetic disorders that can affect wild wolves at this stage of their life.
Good girl, Rue. That's a good girl.
Having saved this wolf pack from the hunters' rifles and gradually become part of their family, it's hoped they can take tomorrow's blood samples without the use of a tranquilizer gun, which could permanently shatter the trust they've built up with these magnificent, wild-born predators. The main threat to wolf numbers in Alaska may be hunting. But there's another deadly threat to the walls of Anchorage caused by humans. Forest fires destroy wolf habitat and can tear wolf families apart. As the bush firemen of Anchorage know, spring and summer wildfires are getting more and more common.
April through July, when the snow starts to melt, is definitely when we expect the most wildfires in this local Anchorage South Central area.
And this crew recently witnessed firsthand the effects of fire on a wolf pack in the mountains outside this wild city.
We responded to a call on the Kenai Peninsula for a 1-acre grass fire. By the time we arrived 3.5 hours later, it was hundreds of acres, maybe 1,000, and it continued to grow exponentially for at least 5 or 6 days while we were there. I believe it got up to 100,000 acres.
It was one of this crew's biggest ever fires, killing thousands of trees and the animals that lived in them. But it would become memorable for another reason.
I think every fire has lots of surprise encounters. In this particular fire was the discovery of a wolf den.
The huge fire had struck just as Alaska's wolf pups were being born. Their usually secret den was uncovered by the crew's attempts to stop the fire by creating a break in the trees.
We had used bulldozers to create fire line for us. Bulldozers are very effective. They create a large break quickly. They are harder on the environment, so we try to be very careful with where we use them. But this particular bulldozer had inadvertently cut through a wolf den, and we didn't know it at the time.
Wolves usually protect their young with their lives, but the scale of this fire had forced them to flee, leaving some pups behind.
The crews were walking by and had heard something. As the pups cried a little bit more, I guess, the crews noticed them, and they were very concerned.
They were concerned, but decided to give the mother a chance to return.
Up here in Alaska, people are not allowed to just pick up wildlife, even if they think something's wrong.
We always want to try to leave the wildlife alone, essentially. Like, if they can take care of themselves, then we'll allow them to take care of themselves. Over the course of a couple days, we decided that the wolf puppies, their mother was not coming back. There was no animal sign around, no large adult prints. I was the supervisor, so it was my responsibility to make the call to either let them be, not worry about it, let nature take its course, or to try to figure out a solution to the problem. I chose to talk to the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge.
So they came out, checked out the situation, realized, yes, this is a no-win situation for these cubs.
So they decided that because the mother hadn't been back and they didn't know the condition of the pups, and it was springtime, so the pups were probably very small, that they would send someone in to rescue them.
Entering a wolf den is a specialist job, but this den was in the middle of a forest fire.
Basically, we sent in a fireman into the hole.
The fireman had no idea what to expect, or if the pups were even alive.
There was 6, but one was dead when they found the pack.
He pulled them out one by one. 5 were alive. After they were rescued, they did go to the Alaska Zoo.
And the agency had called us and asked if we'd take them in. Of course, that's one thing the zoo does a lot of, is take in orphans.
This footage shows the pups on the day they arrived at the zoo.
In the beginning, they were so little. They were maybe 2 to 3 weeks old. So they went into our infirmary where there's supplemental heat and they could stay warm, didn't have to regulate their own heat.
The pups were dehydrated, but soon began to recover.
They got moved from the infirmary, which is next door to the facility we're sitting in now, and then they got moved over here, and then they started making trips out into the outside area, not just the den. And we'd have attendants sit with them and work with them and make them very tractable and handleable so we could touch them all over for any cuts or lumps.
Even with the parents gone, the orphan pups were soon behaving like wolves.
The howling is something that is innate, and they just know how to do it. And even when they were so little, they were howling without our cue at all. When the little wolves heard us in the morning preparing their food next door in the infirmary, they would start making noise and howling.
The accidental fire may have destroyed their habitat, but the pups, rescued by the fire crew, have grown into a strong, healthy wolf pack.
From my personal perspective, I've done this job for 15 years, and there's not necessarily a lot of death, but it's like you're looking at burnt trees, burnt homes. So it was very rewarding to interact with the pups in a positive way to help make a difference in their life. But the most rewarding thing was, like I said, having something alive out after a forest fire.
But having been hand-reared from such a young age, the keepers knew the pups could never be released.
Because wolf packs are generally family groups, to release a litter of wolves, juveniles all the same age, without any real leadership or knowledge of the area and how to hunt, I think it would be really challenging.
After 8 weeks at the zoo, the pups were growing fast. But the zoo's existing wolf enclosure only had space for one more animal. So knowing the importance of family to a wolf's happiness, the zoo managed to relocate the entire wolf pack to a permanent home at another zoo. Although the hot, dry Alaskan summers result in these deadly forest fires, this state also has 3,000 rivers and over 3 million lakes. And it was recently discovered that these waters provide a surprising food source for the wolf packs of Anchorage. These opportunistic animals have now been found to hunt the salmon in the city's rivers. And it isn't just the urban wolf packs. Right across Alaska, in the height of the salmon run, wolves are choosing fish over caribou. Perhaps due to the lack of energy needed to catch fish when there are so many. And with millions of salmon in the rivers that run through Anchorage, it's bringing the wolves into the city. This morning, The vets at Alaska Zoo want to draw blood from their pack of wild-born wolves. To keep the wolves still enough, this operation requires sedation.
Sedation comes with its own risks, so we only do it if there's a reason. These guys, some of them have been acting a little off, so it's been a couple years since we've done just routine bloods on them, so we're going to do that today.
The wolves may allow certain keepers into their territory, but for visiting vet Riley Wilson to take the blood samples, the wolves must be sedated.
It accomplishes two things. It makes it safer for us and less stressful for them.
So when we're going and giving them their initial injection, you know, it's all about distracting them so they don't even know they're getting the injection. If they felt the injection, then they will turn into what most people would think is a wild wolf. So Riley will distract them from outside, and then I will be in there petting them, sort of distracting them with my hands up front, and I'll just reach around in the back and give them the injection in their hindquarters. That's how it's supposed to go. Okay, you got a time on that? We'll sedate them all, one after another, and then we'll go, whoever's the sleepiest, that's the one we'll go in with. Do his physical, and then by the time he's done, hopefully the next one will be ready to go.
To avoid the risks associated with a full anesthetic, Shannon and Riley are only using a mild sedative.
Okay. Their comfort level with us is really high, so that the risk is small, and we want to maintain that really positive relationship with them without putting them through any stressful thing, and then they would become less trusting.
With all the sedations administered, now it's a waiting game.
For them to go to sleep, it takes about 5 minutes for that to happen, and then we'll go in.
Surprisingly, it's Denali, the alpha male, that falls asleep first. But ensuring the sedative has actually worked can be tricky.
Sometimes, even when they look like they're sleeping, they can jump up, and so we're going to be watching for that.
Their canine teeth are actually about the same size as a brown bear teeth, and their bite is twice as strong as a dog, so their ability to hurt you is there.
Denali is still conscious, but appears sleepy enough to risk taking the blood sample.
I'll be watching the animal while he's doing the physical and while he's drawing blood.
Wild-born wolves usually have a life expectancy of just 7 years. But today is these wolves' 10th birthday. Riley hopes these blood samples will rule out the many conditions that affect wild wolves. After a further physical examination, the sedative is then reversed, and the wolves are left to wake up. Once all fully recovered, the wolves are then released back into their enclosure, where they are soon re-establishing their territory. They've spent most of their lives in captivity, but these iconic animals have retained their unique natural instincts, thanks to the people of this wild city. Unlike the wolf, their favorite winter prey is one species that has not adapted to city life. Across the Arctic, caribou are the lifeblood of many remote communities. But human expansion and wild predators have led to their rapid decline. The people of this city, however, have vowed to protect them. Alaska is America's last frontier. Over 1 million square miles of towering peaks, frozen valleys, and vast forests. While this land may appear barren and inhospitable, it's home to an abundant array of creatures. Life in these extremes is harsh, but these animals have adapted in unique ways to survive here. Since the first human settlers arrived, the caribou has made conquering this untamed place possible. There are more caribou in Alaska than people. 900,000 roam across the vast Arctic tundra. Their annual migration is one of the longest of any terrestrial mammal on Earth, sometimes covering over 3,000 miles. They were once found on the mudflats where Anchorage now sits, but with a reported 765 animal collisions each year, it's not surprising the threats of modern life have pushed them north. In early March, caribou begin their annual journey to their summer calving grounds. Unique among deer, both males and females grow antlers. Their compact bodies are covered in 2 layers of fur, helping them to conserve body heat in these freezing temperatures. Each hoof has 4 toes that spread wide, acting like snowshoes, perfect for ploughing through this tricky terrain. To prevent frostbite, their muzzles are densely covered with short hairs. When it can reach 60 degrees below, the ability to stay warm is key to survival. Enduring the harsh winters is also a challenge for animals near Anchorage. In a valley just north of the city lies the Williams Reindeer Farm. The domesticated cousins of caribou, reindeer have long been herded in parts of Siberia and Europe, but in the late 1800s, the American government brought them to Alaska.
We call reindeer the cattle of the north. They are made for cold weather, and they do really well in Alaska. Reindeer can survive in really extreme cold Arctic temperatures, and they were introduced to the Alaska natives as another form of food. They were having to survive on a lot of whales and seals, and this gave them another meat source that they could use to survive.
This farm has been in Denise Hardy's family for 3 generations, and she's looked after reindeer since she was a child.
Reindeer started as a hobby for our family. We got 20 initially, and then we went back and got another 100 from Canada, and it's kind of grown from there.
Out on the tundra, caribou are the prey of choice for Alaska's carnivores. And even here at the ranch, the reindeer are at risk from Anchorage's wild predators. Alaska is home to 32 species of carnivore, including 30,000 grizzlies, 100,000 black bears, and the largest population of grey wolves in the United States. But these iconic wild predators also venture into the city. opportunistic hunters, the urban jungle presents an array of easy meals. Moose, pets, and people must also always remain wary. In winter, these apex predators must kill every few days to survive. But it's not always easy to locate prey in this vast landscape, especially one that never stops moving. This pack have picked up the scent of their favorite prey, a small herd of caribou. They must all work together if this attack is to end in a kill. But the caribou take flight, getting an early advantage. All is not lost for the pack, however. A smaller deer, unable to run as fast, is stuck in deep snow. So the wolves move in for the kill. Wolves do succeed in taking many caribou. So when their populations fall, these efficient hunters can be to blame. For Denise and her team at the reindeer farm, it's not just predators they must protect the herd from. Diseases spread by mosquitoes and ticks are also a big killer. Every year, Denise must vaccinate and health check the entire herd.
So if I say skinny pen, we're going to put them there. Big field is here, show pen is there.
It's a mammoth task, and it must be done quickly to ensure the least possible stress to the reindeer. The team have just 2 hours, so it's all hands on deck.
Every time we have to do a handling, we risk some animal getting hurt or a person getting hurt because the animals are so worked up. When they're high energy and high stress, then they kind of go for broke and they don't hesitate to run straight into a fence and different things.
The most dangerous job falls to team members Hans and Garrett, who must catch each deer as they enter the brace. If they look the reindeer in the eye as it approaches, it could turn and flee, or decide to charge. With large antlers at head height and sharp front hooves, timing is crucial.
Squeeze. You gotta squeeze. Okay, let her go. Let her go, Garrett. Let her go.
It takes a few tries. They catch their first.
Tag number?
526.
And soon, the team are running like clockwork.
There we go. Okay.
Caribou and reindeer are classified as the same species. But reindeer have evolved slightly differently as a result of their domestication. Caribou tend to be lean, with long legs well suited to their great migrations. When herded or chased by predators, they spread out and scatter for safety. In comparison, reindeer are stockier in build, and thousands of years of domestication has given them a tendency to circle in tight groups when threatened. Denise and the team have nearly finished.
Last reindeer. Woo! There you go.
But they spot this female has an abscess on her nose.
Right on the center of her nose. This is a small bump. Yep.
In the wild, an injured animal might be driven off from the herd. And even on the farm, an open wound could lure in predators in search of an easy meal.
Good girl.
Covering the area in antiseptic should prevent infection.
Got her tag number. She's done, right?
Denise will keep a close eye on her to make sure it heals. Finally, the herding is complete, and the reindeer are left to recover from their ordeal. But for caribou in the wild, there's rarely an opportunity to relax. Caribou are still hunted by Alaskan natives, who rely on them for survival in the remote wilderness. So their population is monitored closely. But wolves are such efficient predators that they sometimes pose a threat to this vital resource. When wolf numbers are high, caribou populations can rapidly decline. Sadly, when they drop too low, wolves are culled in order to maintain balance in the natural habitat. This is unfortunately how the 5 wolves living at Alaska Zoo came to be here. In 2006, the zoo was granted permission to rescue the 2-week-old wolf pups, as they were born within a wolf cull zone. If the zoo hadn't stepped in, the pups would have been exterminated.
One of the most important things that we do is that we house animals that are orphaned or that wouldn't have made it in the wild. We have 5 wolves, 2 males and 3 females, and they're all siblings. They're all brothers and sisters from the same litter. I think it's really important to have animals like the gray wolves because they do have a bad rap, because from a young age it's perpetuated in our culture that the wolf is a villain. I like to be able to show them how a wolf is in real life.
And reared from a young age, these wolves will never be released. But despite their close interactions with humans, they continue to display wild characteristics.
Safety is first and foremost. Because the wolves are so charismatic and they're really animals that you can become attached to, it's easy to forget that they are indeed wild animals. You need to remind yourself on a daily basis that while you have a good relationship with them, what an animal does 99 times, it may not do that 100th time.
Despite the risks, these wild instincts are encouraged at the zoo. The pack are given moose and caribou carcasses. Feeding together as they would in the wild allows them to hone their natural pack behavior. Denali, the alpha male, is quick to stake his claim. And the others wait their turn. Having an established hierarchy like this helps maintain order in the wild. It would be key to the pack's survival.
While I support hunting here in Alaska and I support humans' rights to hunt moose and caribou and wild game, I also support the right of predators like wolves and bears. These animals do have an important role in the ecosystem. They've evolved to hunt those animals just as man has, and they've actually been here doing it for far longer than we have.
The hope is that the need for future wolf culls will be reduced with the introduction of new projects to protect caribou numbers. At the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center on the edge of Anchorage, there are plans to start a caribou breeding program. The center provides a refuge for wild animals in need of rehabilitation and is home to a group of caribou. These 4 males were removed from a large herd in the wild, where their numbers were too great for the habitat to sustain. But there's something missing. Some mates. Staff at the center want to bring in some females from Denise Hardy's reindeer farm. Denise just has to choose which females to send to the conservation center.
We need to get 3 that are pregnant, and so we want really nice-looking, healthy deer, age 2, 3, or 4.
If the plan is successful, this could be the start of a new breeding herd close to Anchorage. Getting the right attributes will ensure the health of their offspring and the future of the new herd. But separating the rejects might not be so easy, as reindeer are genetically the same species as caribou.
No.
They can be as unpredictable as their wild counterparts.
Oh, shoot, you? Go away. Dang it. Doggone it. There we go.
Sometimes the only difference between them is the tag on their ear.
Turn around. Perfect. Whew, we did it.
The selected 3 are ready to make their way to their new home. The following day, it's time for the move, and it's not a day too soon. As they're due to give birth in a month, this is the latest they can safely travel.
3, 2, 1.
Being young, these reindeer have never been haltered. They are still essentially wild and unpredictable, so it's not surprising they can be hard to work with. Denise oversees the loading to make sure they get on board safely. With the last one in the trailer, the reindeer can begin the journey to their new home. Across town at the conservation center, the male caribou are unaware of the imminent change. By adding some females to their pen, the hope is to develop a breeding herd here at the center. Denise introduces animal supervisor Sarah Howard to the new arrivals.
This one's really pretty. Her body is beautiful. She's got pretty color and everything.
But the greatest test will come when they finally meet the males.
Yeah. She's right here. So.
I'm ready to go now.
Okay, here she comes.
The male caribou catch the scent of the females straight away.
He's like, girlfriends. That's pretty funny.
And it seems to be a success.
Just stabbing Betty.
Initial reactions between the males and females are positive. But the next few days will be crucial as they adjust to being in the same enclosure. Within a month, the center will have the beginnings of a whole new herd. Since 1935, Anchorage has held a festival each year in the center of the city. People gather to celebrate the end of the long winter, the pioneering spirit of Alaskans, and the animals that have enabled them to survive the Arctic extremes. One of the most anticipated parts of the event lies in the hands of Denise Hardy. The running of the reindeer sees hundreds of Anchorage residents race down the city's 4th Avenue in fancy dress while being chased by a herd of reindeer.
Alaskans have been cooped up all winter and they cannot wait to get out. The crowd is excited, the reindeer are excited, the racers are excited. It's a really high energy.
As the reindeer make it to the start, they're welcomed by the runners.
And please make room for the reindeer, guys.
Then it's time for the race to begin. Once the racers have had a head start, the reindeer are released. In a city as wild as Anchorage, events like this are a reminder of the cherished relationship between man and beast. Over centuries, caribou have adapted to the extreme conditions of Alaska. But even they struggle to endure life in our ever-changing world. From the farms of the city to the herds roaming the wilderness, the people of Anchorage are doing what they can to ensure they survive.
He's like, girlfriend.
But in this wild metropolis, it's not just the caribou in need of help. As long as there are people and predators on these streets, the humans and animals of Anchorage will need to face the future together.